Well, many of the world's top leaders, including Justin Trudeau, are meeting this week in New York for the United Nations General Assembly. Our Ottawa correspondent Glen McGregor joins us now. Glenn, the Prime Minister seems like he's already been busy booking meetings here. Who has he been speaking with today?
Yeah, a lot of bilateral meetings, that is one-on-one meetings with other leaders and other figures, world leaders that are there. Prime Minister has met with Antonio Guterres, who is, of course, the Secretary General of the United Nations. Also has a meeting planned this afternoon with Olaf Scholz, the Chancellor of Germany. And they will, of course, talk about German investment in the Canadian EV sector. Volkswagen, one of those companies getting in, taking advantage of some of those big government incentives here to invest in EV production and battery production in Ontario. Of course, the Germans also very interested in Canadian natural gas, which so far Trudeau says we're not really going to, don't really have the facilities to send them, and probably is preferring to offer Canadian-made hydrogen too. But the real focus of his day today at the United Nations is the situation in Haiti. Of course, there was the assassination of the president in 2021, and Haiti's been kind of lawless ever since. Sort of criminal gangs have control over the capital, Port-au-Prince. It is really on the verge of being a failed state, and Canada has been under a lot of pressure, particularly from the Americans, to put boots on the ground to try and improve the security situation. Canada has resisted this. We don't really want, it seems, to send in any Canadian police or Canadian armed forces into Haiti because it is just such a dangerous situation. Instead, Trudeau spent the day trying to rally other countries to pledge more money for humanitarian support. Canada's already put up about $100 million to help the recent efforts in Haiti. The Kenyan army is going to go in there eventually, but doesn't look like there's any sign Canada will. But the message from Canada so far has been that other countries in the West have to do more to help Haiti and to try and get the security situation at the very least resolved, and then also focus on the humanitarian situation. Food, water, infrastructure, all not very good in the country right now. It's a real mess. Now, Trudeau also a meeting today with Malala. That is, of course, the Nobel Prize winning young woman from Pakistan who, as a teenager, was very outspoken about the Taliban refusing to let girls go to school. It's not the first time Trudeau's met with her, but he always likes checking in with her. So very busy day, Faiza, for the Prime Minister at the UN today.
Busy day indeed. And after he meets with key global dignitaries, the Prime Minister is expected to be a guest on one of the US's most popular late night talk shows. I have to admit, I'm a little bit nervous for him.
Yeah, he's going to go on with Stephen Colbert, the late-night comedian talk show host. And you think, like Prime Minister's got a full day of international diplomacy, and then this seems like kind of a softball interview after. But I know that staff of world leaders get really nervous in this situation. I think there's probably a lot of trepidation amongst the Prime Minister's office's senior staff about him going on set unscripted. And the reason is, because Colbert is a comedian, not really a journalist, they don't know what kind of questions to expect. Of course, Colbert will try and crack a lot of jokes. Prime Minister, usually the best advice for politicians going into these situations is to play kind of the straight man. Let Colbert be the funny one. Don't try and tell your own jokes. Be interesting, though, that also on the show, on the Colbert Show tonight, is RuPaul, the host of RuPaul's Drag Race. So we'll see if there's any kind of interaction between Justin Trudeau and RuPaul, at least in the green room, before they go on to face Colbert. But look, for Trudeau, the reason for doing this is he gets his face in front of a lot of American television viewers. Boy, Colbert's audience goes, they probably skew mostly Democrat, but it's a good idea just to keep Canada in front of the mind amongst voters, because of course we have the U.S. presidential election coming up soon, and the Trudeau government is trying to do everything it can to make sure the relationship is good, regardless of whether Donald Trump or Kamala Harris wins the White House. They've been trying for the past year, kind of building up relations, both at the congressional level and also with governors of states, even meeting with union officials, trying to make sure that Americans understand the value of the Canadian relationship, because they don't want to be in that situation like they were in the first Trump term when trade turned sour between the two countries. So I guess getting on the Colbert Show may be a good way of reaching a lot of viewers. Don't know if it wins over any hearts and minds amongst Americans, but be interesting to see tonight. We'll watch and see how he does in that situation.
Yeah, and like you said, Glenn, don't go toe-to-toe with a comedian. Some sound advice from our Glen McGregor. Thanks so much, Glenn.